So the first exercise we have is a squat. Kurt's going to help us out, and he's going to go through the exercise with us. The reason we chose the squat is because it's one of the most popular exercises in the gym, and one of the exercises that there's a lot of different beliefs around the squat, i.e. ass to the grass, go as low as possible. That's the only thing that matters. If you quarter squat or half squat, it's wrong and you're a wimp. There's a lot of different reasons that someone may do those things, and I just want to go over those things today. So Kurt, first I want everyone to see the bar, the height of the bar. If Kurt walks over to the bar, you see the height of the bar here. I don't want Kurt to be on his tippy toes to pull the bar off the rack, but I don't want extreme flexion in his knees to get under that bar. So this is perfect for him. I want him to squat down underneath that bar, set it up on his shoulders, then I want you to take the bar off the rack, okay? Take your time. Okay, so we'll walk away from the rack a little bit more, Kurt. Set your feet up. So Kurt's gonna spread his feet so he has a nice strong base. His feet and his heel is gonna be underneath his armpits and maybe a tad bit wider, so separate your feet just a little bit more. So a few things going on with the squat. Now, pay attention to the length of his femur. It's from here till about here. So he has a pretty long femur, so he's already gonna have more work. The primary joint access point is gonna be his hip. He's gonna sink back into the squat. When he sinks back into it, he's gonna have the weight distributed into his heels. He's gonna pull his toes up to the top of his sneaker. And understand that we're gonna keep an eye on the spinal flexion here, or that pelvic tilt rather. So as soon as this almost starts to round and he loses this flat back position, that's his end range. Anything other than that, he's compromising his health and his safety and his spinal health, okay? So keep an eye on that, okay? So I want you to sink back into the squat, take 3 seconds on the way down. 1, 2, 3, hold it. Look where he is. He looks pretty good there. Stand back up. Now we're gonna keep an eye on that lower back here, and we're gonna see if anything happens, if he starts to round his back to achieve more range of motion. Sink back into it. Take your time, take your time. Sink a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Right there, stop. You see how he starts to have that tilt? We know we've gone too far. We're compromising his health and his safety. Stand back up. So I want you to do 5 more. I want you to take your time. I want you to keep an eye on a few other things here. So watch the knee. So the amount of shear and the force going through his kneecap, if he was to put all the weight and distribute that weight into his toes, he'd have all that force going through his patella. We cause a significant amount of shear. 2 opposing forces moving in different directions, working against each other, okay? Now, if he does that, you know, it's dangerous. Shear is not necessarily a bad thing, but repetitive bouts of shear can be a very awful thing. So squat again, please, Kurt. Sink into it, sink down, sink down, sink down. Hold it, and back up. Now, he may not be about 90, but he's darn close, and that's good for him. Now, there's certainly ways that he can, you know, increase his range of motion through mobility. What we want to do is increase mobility. We want to be a stable structure, and then we can load more weight. Don't ever use weight on the bar to acquire more range of motion. If he puts 135 on there, that weight is going to push him down into the ground. If we're using the weight as an aid to acquire more range of motion, we're certainly compromising safety. Be very careful of what you're doing and what your attention is. If someone says get your ass to the ground and get your ass to the ground by any means necessary, that is not healthy. I don't care what program it's on, what philosophy it is. Scientifically, you are going to crush your lower back. Do it again, Kurt, please. Sink back into it. Sink, 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 sink. Right there, stop. You feel that, Kurt? Stand back up. Now I want to talk about the primary movement here, which is that hip movement. He's going to sink back into it, and when he stands up, he's going to push his hips to the front. This being the front, Kurt, okay? So sink back into it. 1, 2, 3. Now watch the movement of his hip. Hip back, and then pull the hips forward. Stand up, pull the hips forward. See, it's a primary hip movement. Now he's going to lengthen his hamstring. He gets into his quads there, but there's a lot of hip activity there. Strong hip, then I can develop the quads. So I want you to walk forward and put that bar down. Actually, I want you to do that again. Get underneath, please. Stand up. So when he walks forward to rack the bar, I want him to walk all the way in to the pillar of the rack. Now bend your legs. That's fine, okay? So a few things to keep in mind. Your range, my range, Kirk's range is going to be different from everyone else's range. Don't ever buy into the fact that you must go lower. You must go lower. That's merely someone's belief that was thrown on a bunch of other people. If you want to go lower, then put the work in. Do mobility activities and you will be able to go lower. It takes work to get there. There's not one way to squat. There are 1,000 different ways to squat. Pay attention to what is your goal and what is your intention. And then once you have that down, you can know where and how to take the little steps to get there, okay? Don't look to the left and look to the right in gym and say, he's squatting 500 pounds, so I have to do that. Don't turn your squat into a modified good morning where you're just crushing your spine. Pay attention to what you need to do and what you want to achieve. You won't put yourself in a compromised position. You'll be in a safe position and you build a strong base to progress for the future. So if you guys have any questions on the things we've covered here today, you can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Marc Megna, Facebook, or my body space at Marc Megna. For more videos and articles like this, keep coming back to Bodybuilding.com.